So I built this gainers and losers dashboard that I'm going to share with you entirely with Claude Code. And I'm also going to show you how not only myself, but other people are using this data on a weekly basis, because you want to understand who's going where and why. If you're in the mortgage or real estate business, then data is king, okay? And so what we've got here is the new, and actually, so right now Claude Code is literally updating this. We're doing a Fable 5 just came out for Claude and Anthropic. And so I'm actually using that right now. I think it's free until June 22nd. Probably get access to however you get access. And right now I'm just having it do updates to some of the other things I do. If you didn't know, with AI, you can actually give it a goal. And so I'm slowly having it actually improve upon some of the things I've already built. But let me know in the comments if you're interested in joining, or if I created a AI kind of like community for specifically for the mortgage industry, right? Mortgage loan officers or other leaders in the business. Let's get started with this week's gainers and losers. And actually really quickly before I jump into this, something that I'm super excited about, because I'm going to be presenting this data at the Momentum Builders Conference in October in Dallas, Texas. Link in the description for the Loan Originator Ascension study. This is like the first, I've never seen a study done on the data, right? These are based on the decisions loan originators make that lead to higher levels of production. Okay, I'm literally going to do a legit research study. We're going to interview people. There's different phases of this, and we're going to kind of track and try and see what are the decisions that lead to some originators ascending, right? Or like evolving into the next tier of production. So link in the description if you're open to participating. Let's get started with this week's #1 mortgage bank, okay, or independent mortgage bank. CrossCountry Mortgage, net gaining 27 loan originators for, it should be, so remember, what we're tracking is the potential ghost factor of each of these companies, and it's different across IMBs, brokers, and banks and credit unions. So each, this is the top 10, and I'll show you the full report. This is going to be available. Actually, I'm building it into my website because I was like, well, why not? So I have AI helping me build this into a login on my website. Why not? But the ghost factor for large mortgage IMBs is, and each mortgage IMB has their individual ghost factor that is behind the scenes factored in, okay? So just because they gain 27 loan officers, they should actually, only 20 of those people are probably producing, and based on the average loan amount of those people, they should bring in about $300 million of annualized production. And you can see in the last week, drumroll, no, it's way above that. So they crushed their average, right? So on this, if you want a Redder account, right, or you use something else, right, like find your favorite tool, Modex, Model Match, there's others out there, and who's going where and why, right? So you can see who's coming into this company. Wow, there's a lot of rate people who just moved. Okay, so this is the type of stuff that you want to see. This is very useful, but there is no report, remember, that can kind of be a compass or guide to let you know. You would have to click into every single one of these companies to see what's up, okay? So because when you come back, let me go back actually real quick. And then what we'll do is we'll just duplicate this page, and then I'll have another one. I can just go forward. So you can see who are the biggest, right? And over what period of time. I have some criteria set in here for Redder, and we're going to switch this over to IMBs, right? And the goal of this is we're going to get through the top 3 gainers and losers on both IMBs, then brokers, and banks and credit unions. Actually, I'm probably going to skip banks and credit unions just because I have friends at those companies, but most of the time banks and credit unions are not. They don't have their own personal book of business. They're not working off of referrals. If they were to leave that company, something might change with how much business they're getting, which is, by the way, where Claude is right now updating that. I noticed you've got Zillow Home Loans. It should not be here. Okay, so it's updating that right now in terms of a mortgage research center. That's Veterans United. They should not be here, right? They should be excluded from kind of like the featured stuff. You can see them in the full report, but they should not be kind of like brought into the top 10 or some of the big. We're going to be implementing some features actually soon here in the gainers and losers report. So CrossCountry Mortgage having a great week, but how many $10 million producers left? 2, and 1 went broker, 1 went Loan Depot. Okay, so great week for CrossCountry Mortgage, coming in at #1. So coming in at #2, and so you can see a little fire emoji right here, right? The 7 straight weeks of gaining. However, last week, and actually let's show it, right? Show, don't tell. All companies. Let's go to CrossCountry. We've got this. It's kind of like charted. Is it lagging again? No. Okay, because I had Claude. It was such a big file. It was lagging sometimes. So we've fixed that. So you can see the trend in the last. This is the last week. So let's look at. I want to see it actually charted over the last 8 weeks. So they actually came down. Where is it? CrossCountry. They did have a dip. Why is it not dipping? They didn't, maybe that's a glitch right there. Because they dipped in volume. Oh, that's right. Because it's not factoring in the volume. Last week, they gained 27 or 20-ish loan officers, but they actually lost about, I think it was $30 million of annualized production. Go watch last week's video if you want to see that. They gained loan officers, but lost production, okay? And that's not typically normal for some of the bigger IMBs, right? They gain a lot of production. A lot of people do leave too, but all right, moving on to number 2. So if we come back over here to the top 10, Newrez, okay? So Newrez gaining 18 loan officers, 12 are producing based on the ghost factor. So it should be $191 million of annualized production. But I'm always interested to see if that trend holds, right? Because I'm doing my best to like forecast, estimate, and they actually beat it. So they added $229 million of annualized production, right? Gaining 19 loan officers. Some new or previously inactive. That just means there's a gap in their license. They're not new or previously inactive, right? So you could click it and you could see what company they came from. Not going to dive in the rabbit hole this week. I'm going to let you get a Redder account, right? And dive into and play in the rabbit hole if you want to go there. Okay. But great week for Newrez. And, again, like I could click this and say, what do the last 6 months look like for Newrez? What does the last year look like for Newrez? My goal is to make this report that, right? Because if we just come in here and let's switch this back to 1 week, right? Based on the numbers, is you can just click it. And what is the trend? Okay. Well, back in March, they actually were losing loan officers, and their average volume per loan officer is increasing by a lot, actually, right? So they're gaining bigger producers. That's an interesting thing to note, right? This does not have, maybe I get an API from one of these data companies so that way you can see directly through here who some of those people are. Right now, no. So you got to do that through Redder, right? You can click in here and see who's coming, right? Who's coming and why, and then who left, right? Who are some of the people leaving? And they're inactive, so we don't even know where some of these people went yet. So great week for Newrez, coming in at number 2 in terms of gainers. All right, back to the top 10. We've got Mutual of Omaha. So Mutual of Omaha should not be in this list. I think they have some loan officers who do direct-to-consumer, not direct-to-consumer. They're referral-based loan officers, right, that have their own book of business. They just do so much equity and refi, and I'm pretty sure anybody that they're gaining, how close was it, by the way? Weekly gainers and losers, 125 million, 116. That's pretty dang close, okay? Without even having the list. I'm trying to get the list of who the loan officers are that moved every week. Because if I get that, then I can be precise. Right now, I've built with Claude built a formula on how to get so freaking close to who's moving and why. It's not perfect. There'll be mistakes. Don't worry. But this person, Mallory, where'd Mallory come from? Okay, we're going to dive in the rabbit hole this one time. Look at how much refinance business this is, right? Mallory came from, what is ActiveLink? I saw that in there. She does business in a bunch of different states, right? ActiveLink. So, no, we're not, Mutual of Omaha does not really count in our production look. So Mortgage Pros coming in really at the real number 3, gaining 13. After the ghost factor, it's 9, so it should be $64 million of annualized production based on their average loan production per loan officer. Oof. Oh, so this is a refi shop too. Okay, I'm not going to count you. If I'm wrong, drop it in the chat. I'm just pretty sure that there probably are. Eustace Mortgage. I want to look at neighborhood loans because I don't know who Eustace is. I've never heard of them. Drop in the chat if you know who they are. And every week, this is an opportunity for me to get in the rabbit hole as far as the companies and learn more about them. But let's see. So we were projected, if you gained 4 neighborhood loans, that's a pretty actually high average production per loan officer. So gaining 4 producers, right, should lead to 53 million, but it's 119 million. Whoa, that's huge. So neighborhood loans having an amazing week, bringing it, Fairway. Okay, so that's something that, it's a group, right? It's a group or a branch or potential division coming into neighborhood loans, leaving Fairway, okay? So I would imagine they're all in the same place. You could click them and look at exactly each location. But a trend like that is definitely going to be a group, right? And they lost 21 million, one to a broker, and that person's inactive at the moment. So amazing week for neighborhood loans. Now let's talk about losers. So let's see if these losers, we're going to look at Arclotech is benchmark. We're going to look at Fairway. And then Better does have retail arm, Loan Depot. So I don't know. We'll figure out kind of in that group right there who the biggest losers are, right? But benchmark, losing the most loan officers, let's see if it does. So it translates to production in a big way. What did we project it at? We projected it at 165 million. It was worse. It's 209 million. So gaining nobody, losing 11. Maybe this is I don't know if I'd call this a hot take. This is just my assumption. Another mortgage company just sold recently. And I think that there's a chance that benchmark sells, right? Because you had Summit Funding, and then I'm blanking on who the other company was right now. It was a big deal, right? Oh, Synergy One. Synergy One is now a part of, who is it? I'm forgetting. American Pacific. So they're American Pacific bought, or I don't know the exact details of it, right? But Synergy One's now a part of American Pacific. So I don't know. Benchmark's losing a lot of people right? Just look at the last year, right? It's $1 billion at this point, right? That's pretty bad. So definitely one of the biggest losers, or if not the biggest loser this past week. So Assure Mortgage, maybe. I'm just not as familiar with Assure. So I'm not going to skip over something if I'm not confident. Okay, so not a good week for Assure. 12 loan officers, 8 producing, 135 million. So it wasn't as bad as it could have been, but it's still bad, right? So Assure losing $61 million annualized production. Well, really losing 85, gaining 24, okay? And then coming in at, I guess, arguably number 3 if we're counting Assure, which I think we are right now. So not going to get into any of the others. Losers for IMBs, right? That's what the report is for. Link in description, click the report, and then you need, there is a link in the description for Redder if you need to get access there, okay? It's a monthly subscription for Redder. So Fairway having a bad week as well. What did we project it at? Projected at 103 million, and it's 96 million, okay? So gaining 62 million, but losing 159 million, okay? Who'd they gain? Okay, a pretty big producer, and then losing some really big producers. I mean, you already know where they went. They went to Neighborhood Loans, okay? And some other people, that person's super small. Next, EMM. Okay, so the big move this week for Fairway was that they lost a large group to Neighborhood Loans. So moving on to brokers, okay? So brokers, I guess, by the way, look at the top trends right here, right? This is the number of qualified companies and what counts as qualified. And then the net is that they lost, independent mortgages net lost 28 originators. There were 88 gainers, 105 losers, companies, right? And then this is wrong. This is wrong because, again, it's estimates. So don't trust that number, okay? But if we look at brokers net coming ahead 95 originators in the last week, 28 companies gained, 12 losers, and the net estimated, again, I'm not going to probably count that, 607 million. So coming in at number 1, Barrett, adding 12 originators, 11 producing based on the ghost factor, right? It's like almost half, right? Look at the ghost factors here. Large is 50. So 50% of the people don't do a loan, right? Don't produce. And then the medium small. So let's pull up Barrett and see if those people, if they're going to stay on pace with this trend. So it should translate to, based on the average production per loan officer, to $112 million. No, it's bigger. It's $300 million. Wow. Okay. That's a pretty big week for Barrett. A lot of them coming from other brokers, Edge, Westcap, that's an IMB. Okay, so they took a group from Edge, Home Finance, okay? So pretty big week for Barrett. And gaining 319, losing 21 million. No $10 million producers leaving, but big week for Barrett. Okay, next we have Nexa. And like I said, we're only going through brokers and IMBs. We're not going to go through banks this week. It's just not the highest and best use of your time, I think, because most of those people it's not their personal production. So Nexa is supposed to gain 59 million and they gained 58. That's pretty close. Gaining $87 million annualized production, losing 29 million. So Nexa having a pretty good week. Okay. And then coming in at number 3, we have the Loan Factory. Loan Factory. Let's see if they stay with the trend, guys. Wow. Is that what it's supposed to be? Oh, it's supposed to be 14 million and it's only 8. So it's worse than their average. They're bringing down their production per LO by doing this, right? Adding 24 people for only 20 million, losing 14 for, that's super close actually. So that's, I don't know. They're not really a winner this week. Let's pull up eMortgage Capital and see if they're considered a winner. It should be, what is it? It should be 45 million. I think it was 100. Yeah, 95 million. Wow. So eMortgage Capital gaining 125 million and losing 30 for a net gain of 8 loan officers for $95 million annualized production. So great week for eMortgage Capital. Losers, Iconic Mortgage. I don't really know anyone there. But we're going to look. We're not going to write it off. A lot of refinance business and it's flat. So they lost 8 originators. So they probably just got rid of licenses, people who are not actually producing. So what my gut is telling me that maybe happened there. Also flat, Coastal Lending Group. Okay. So people getting rid of licenses, getting rid of people who are not producing. That is a growing trend on the broker side. Previously, it was basically like you could have as many people. So it's only 2, net gain of 2. Oh, wow. This is actually very interesting. So Edge Home Finance, I think they gained a lot of people, but they lost a lot of people and basically had a meh week, right? 8 million is not huge, but they gained 143 million and they lost 151 million. Like that's a huge, just trade instantly across production. So you lost people and gained people all in the same week. Okay. Jet Direct Funding Corp. We're rounding out probably with these guys. And again, Redder subscription if you want to dive into the rabbit hole. Okay, no change there. So what we can see looking at the report is that it drops off substantially, right? The number of companies, how many people are leaving broker world, right? Versus joining broker world, They're not losing as many people. And there's usually always bigger numbers kind of here in the IMB space. So thank you so much if you made it this far in today's video. I appreciate every single viewer on this. Go ahead and consider liking, subscribing, so that way you get notified every week when I drop a new video. Sometimes it's supposed to have been Tuesdays, now it's kind of Wednesdays, and occasionally I'll get it out a little bit later. But if you have suggestions, thoughts, or feedback for me, I would love any suggestions on how I could make this video series episode on a weekly basis better. So thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in next week's video.